Watford Football Club are pleased to confirm the appointment of Xisco Munoz as head coach. Who? What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Wow, I mean what a weekend it was of Championship football. Match day 20, we've had a postponement of a fixture, we've had a managerial sacking, we've seen football players get their first senior goals, and we've seen some absolute goalkeeping howlers that will be going through in this weekend's games. If you've got a correct score, your comment will be on the screen right now. A lot of you did get some correct scores, well done for that. I got two correct scores, which was Millwall and Nottingham Forest ending 1-1, and Wycombe and Queen's Park Rangers, which also ended 1-1. And this is what the Lexus Hall of Fame now looks like. Joshua Fruit on 42 points, Charlie Brown in second with 38. FIFA actually did better for me. FIFA got 3 correct scores, which puts FIFA on 25 points. Then you've got a close competition in the mid-table with Luke Armstrong, Sam Newbold and Owen Armitage. Really close between those 3. But if you guys like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. This is for the first review in a long time where I don't actually have to do score predictions. The only score predictions I'm doing this week are going to be from the 2 Premier League games that are playing today, Burnley and Wolves and Chelsea West Ham. I'll actually quickly do those now. Burnley and Wolves, I think, will end 1-1. Chelsea West Ham, I think, will end 1-0 West Ham. So these are the score predictions that you're going to predict before the Boxing Day matches, which I'll release my prediction on those in or around Christmas Eve, probably. But without any further ado, let's go through what happened in this weekend's games. So I'll start off with Preston and Bristol City, which was the Friday game. And Preston increased their fantastic record against Bristol City, unbeaten in their last 15 appearances against this Bristol City side. This game wasn't really good, if I'm going to be honest with you. The only difference was from a Daniel Johnson penalty. It was a very cheap penalty to give away from Taylor Moore, fouling Scott Sinclair in the box. He was absolutely brilliant. Daniel Johnson was given the responsibility. He scored the penalty that made it 1-0, and that was enough to end Bristol City's hopes. They did have chances, especially in the second half. In the first half, they were really non-threatening at all. Callum O'Dowd, I think, had the best chance of the game where he forced Declan Rice into a fantastic reflex save. But unfortunately, even with that save, I don't think Bristol City even looked like scoring, which I think is a cause of concern for this Bristol City side, who started so well, but now 3 defeats in a row. They are now going on a losing streak, and they're going to lose ground of the top 6 if they're not careful. And then we go to Saturday's games. We'll start off with Norwich 2, Cardiff 0, the early game. This game was ultimately decided by the individual quality of Emiliano Buendia. He is absolutely incredible, although Norwich could have scored so many goals. Buendia got the first one from a fantastic pass. I think it was by McLean in the midfield, managing to set him through with enough space to score past Smithies that made it 1-0 to Norwich. Although Cardiff had an abundance of chances to get back into it, Sean Morrison especially having 2 big chances, one of them being a real towering header, and McGovern literally milliliters keeping the ball on the line. If that went through the line, I would have got another correct score. So I was milliliters away getting 3 correct scores, but I'm not going to begrudge on that because it was a fantastic performance by Norwich. And Norwich could score so many goals because Cardiff were making comedic errors at the back. Timo Pukki had so many chances, and I was really surprised he didn't score. He wasn't a second goal scorer. It was Todd Cantwell from just outside the box. An absolute whip of a ball to get past Smithies just to kill the game off and for Norwich to feel comfortable. Daniel Farke's 150th game in charge of Norwich ends in a win. 5 points ahead of Bournemouth now. Norwich are in the top of the table. I tell you what, if Norwich continue to get good performances despite the couple of injuries that they have, then Norwich more than deserve to go up in my opinion. And then to Middlesbrough's biggest win since 2015 with a 4-1 away victory to Birmingham. Who on their right mind would have predicted this? Birmingham actually took the lead. It was from a Jeremy Bella cross. Terrell had a shot. Maxime COLLAB managed to pick up the loose ball, hitting it in the top left corner. A nice goal, which was 1-0 to Birmingham. And Hogan had a fantastic chance to make it 2, where if it was 2, then maybe Middlesbrough would have struggled to get back into it. But Bettinelli made the save, and then the floodgates started opening. It was a very cleverly taken short and free kick by Paddy McNair. Britta Sombalonga finally finding some space within the box. He deputised for Chuba Akpom, but he managed to score and end his 4-game goal drought to make it 1-1. And then Middlesbrough started turning on the screw when George Saville scored from a Marvin Johnson cross. That made it 2-1 to Middlesbrough just before half-time. In the second half, Middlesbrough continued to play with impact, and oh dear, Neil Etheridge. I mean, he threw the game away in front of his former boss. Lewis Wing took a corner. He drops it into the net, trying to catch it, probably trying to do a counter-attack, but he tries to catch it and it falls in the net. That made it 3-1. And then Lewis Wing got his goal that he probably wanted from the corner, and he managed to score from just outside the box. Etheridge did get a hand to it, but it wasn't enough. That made it 4-1. A very unhappy return for Aitor Karanka. Birmingham win this in their last 6 home games. They need to fix up their home form as soon as they can. As with Middlesbrough, this result puts them in the top 6. And then Brentford are still continuing a very good run of form with a 3-1 victory over Reading. Quite an entertaining game, actually. But my goodness me, what has it been with goalkeeping errors? We've just had Neil Etheridge's one, and now we've got Rafael Cabral's one. It was Matthias Jensen with a shot. It goes through his legs. I mean, he should have done much better with that. It just squirms past the line, which made it 1-0 to Brentford. And then Brentford go on an 18-minute rampage, scoring 2 Brian Mbeumo goals, both of them with sheer amount of quality. And then Reading did try and get back into it, but David Raya was proving to be really, really good in goal. Eventually, they managed to punch it through him in the second half from a Managerial cross and a Luco gained a header. That made it 3-1. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough, and Brentford held out a pretty comfortable win in the end. Reading recently have now fallen off the top 6. They need to try and fix their consistency again. You know, they've had a fantastic start, Reading. Brentford right now, looking at a team that's looking pretty unstoppable right now. A team full of confidence, which is exactly what you want to see in this period of the season. We've had 2 games with 2 goalkeeping howlers in a row. Let's make it 3 out of 3 with Huddersfield 2, Watford 0. Ben Foster, I mean, he's been a fantastic goalkeeper, but I don't know what he was thinking with this goal. He tries to pass up from the back and he loses it out, I think, to Mbenza, and then Fraser Campbell manages to tap in into an empty net. That made it 1-0. And then Capoue with a known goal made it 2-0. But I would not have predicted straight after this game that Watford would announce the sacking of Vladimir Ivic. I know they've fallen a little bit behind compared to Bournemouth and Norwich are, and their performances have not been great, but they've still been getting results. So that sacking really caught me off guard, although I just remembered it's Watford Football Club. And if you know the history of their sackings, they get through managers like this. Ivic is gone, and they've got a new manager in, which I, to be honest, never heard of. You saw it in my intro. Xisco Munoz, who is a manager who has been managing in Georgia, but he's only become a permanent manager September of this year. So experience-wise, he's not got a huge abundance of it. So I don't know if I like this appointment from Watford or not. He's more known for being part of that Valencia squad under Rafael Benitez, where they won a load of things in 2003 and 4. Who knows if he's going to be a good appointment, although I know with his football style is a very high attacking philosophy, which I think is what the fans would like to see. So it'll be interesting. They're just going to have to change styles a little bit, which could take time for Watford players. Give him 2 or 3 games, so then maybe Munoz could actually get the best out of this Watford squad. Because for Watford to be in that position, you do have to say, I think they're underperforming a little bit. And it was a great performance by Huddersfield Town, who thoroughly deserved their win. And then to the only 0-0 draw in the game, Luton and Bournemouth. I honestly did not expect this, but Luton, I think, were the better side. They're the ones who were testing the goalkeeper. I mean, Simon Sluga barely had anything to do in goal. It was Begovic that made 2 pretty good saves, one from Hilton and one from Hall, actually, both in each half. But whilst Bournemouth had more of the ball and definitely more opportunities, they didn't really look clinical going forward like their usual selves. But following this draw, Bournemouth are still in the top 2 in the table. Luton with another clean sheet. Defensively, Luton are looking very, very sound this season. Both really, really good sides. There's nothing else I could comment on this game. The game was so bad. And then to the first score I got right. Millwall 1, Nottingham Forest 1. Honestly, this game wasn't the best in quality. However, all of a sudden we had a goal spell within the first 5 minutes of the second half. First going from Tom Bradshaw, John Daddy Bodvarsson going on the left-hand side, supplying across to Tom Bradshaw, and that made it 1-0 to Millwall. But then Alex Mighton with his first senior goal. And for Nottingham Forest, it was a very long looping ball, I think from Mbe So, and then Lewis Grabban with a very intelligent touch to give it to Mighton. Very selfless stuff from him. He gave it to Mighton, that made it 1-1. And I thought we may see a couple more goals, and I think Millwall were the more likely, but it did end as a draw, which I think, looking at the stats overall, pretty fair result in my opinion. And I don't think either of these managers would have taken it. I think they would have loved to have a win, but they're going to have to make a move in Boxing Day and hope for a win there. And then to briefly go through this one, Rotherham Derby was scheduled to play. However, there was an outbreak of COVID-19 within the Rotherham first team squad. This is what Rotherham had to say in their website. Rotherham United can confirm that this afternoon's Sky Bet Championship fixture against Derby County has been postponed following a positive test of COVID-19 for a member of Paul Warren's squad, with further players within the first team bubble showing symptoms with the virus at present. Following conversations with the EFL and subsequent medical advice provided by them and that of our own club doctors, the club have taken the decision to request a postponement to the fixture, which has been approved by the EFL. The game was arranged to take place at the New York Stadium on Saturday 19th December, which will now be rearranged. The EFL have sanctioned the postponement of the fixture as a matter of player safety, which of course remains paramount to both ourselves and Derby County. I mean, I tell you what, when the game does come, it'll be a very crucial game. It gives Derby a chance to get outside the bottom three, but it can also give Rotherham a chance to clear away from the bottom three. So whenever this game will be scheduled, it'll be a huge game to come. And Sheffield Wednesday pick up their first win under Tony Pulis with a 1-0 victory over Coventry. An unbelievable result for Sheffield Wednesday. And I have to say, man of the match goes to Westwood in goal. He was absolutely brilliant. Coventry had an abundance of chances, but unfortunately they had Westwood to beat in goal, which he made all the saves look so easy. One of the most easy-going goalkeepers I can see. But it was Sheffield Wednesday with the difference. They didn't really test Coventry all that much, but they made their one chance count. It came from the set piece. Barry Bannon with the free kick. Leeds with a header that made it 1-0. And defensively, Sheffield Wednesday have been fantastic. You know, with the game low on quality overall, they took their one chance, defended it like their lives depended on it. They won 1-0, and now they're out of the bottom of the championship. A fantastic result for Tony Pulis. Poor defeat for Coventry, where away from home, I know Coventry are still struggling. So it was to be expected that they weren't going to win against Sheffield Wednesday, but I didn't think they would lose it in that way. I think Coventry definitely with the chances should have at least equalised in the game, but they'll move on. If they can continue their good home form, then I think Coventry can recover. Another game that ended 1-0 was Stoke and Blackburn, which was decided by an early goal. Morgan Fox on the left-hand side supplying the ball to an unmarked Nick Powell, which made it 1-0 to Stoke. But it was one-way traffic afterwards because Blackburn were relentless. They threw absolutely everything at Stoke to try and get back into this. Barry Douglas did hit the post in the 23rd minute of the game, but unfortunately Stoke's defence was just too strong for Blackburn, and with Stoke having 6 clean sheets in their last 7 games, it was going to be very daunting for Blackburn to try and break that down despite being the top goal scorers in the league. With Blackburn, Mowbray will be very frustrated with Nick Powell being completely unmarked for Stoke's goal. Definitely at the back, Blackburn need to improve if we want to have a good season overall. Then we have Swansea continuing with the pace with the top 3 with a 2-0 victory over Barnsley. Have you seen the conditions of Swansea's pitch? It looks absolutely terrible. I don't know why their pitch looks that bad. But moving away from that, they actually got a really good result out of it. Jamal Lowe with the first goal. A brilliant teamwork goal, actually. Really keeping the ball well between everyone. Jamal Lowe eventually in enough space, collecting the ball, which managed to get enough of a shot into the net that made it 1-0. Barnsley had a couple of moments, but they didn't look like their characteristic attacking selves. Woodman was barely tested in goal at all, and Barnsley had no chance to get back into it, where Jake Bidwell whipped in a corner, but unfortunately Victor Adebayo managed to head the ball into his own net, which made it 2-0 to Swansea. Completely impossible for Barnsley to get back into this. Wouldn't say a convincing performance by Swansea, but it's a result-based performance, and Swansea are getting good results, which is encouraging for them. It puts them in 3rd place right now, within a matter of points behind Bournemouth. They need to make sure they don't lose ground of Norwich. So the fact they did win this weekend and the fact that Watford and Bournemouth had dropped points is a good weekend for Swansea. As with Barnsley, pretty poor defeat overall. I know since Ishmael's come in, Barnsley have been one of the best informed sides of the championship. Away from home, I'm still not too convinced, but if they can continue how good they are at home, then Barnsley, I think, could be a real force. And then to the final game I got right. Wycombe 1, Queen's Park Rangers 1. I told you guys it was going to end 1-1. Queen's Park Rangers took the lead. It was from a Jason McCarthy own goal from an Elias Chair cross. That made it 1-0. But Wycombe had so many chances. They definitely deserved something out of it. Scott Cashgate had a shot very, very early on, which was well saved by Dieng. And in the second half also, Cashgate had another opportunity. Dal Horgan was getting some great positions, but it looked like it wasn't going to be Wycombe's day until the 88th minute, where Anis Mehmeti scored his first senior goal. We'd add Alex Myton from Nottingham Forest score his first senior goal. For Wycombe, we had Anis Mehmeti score his first senior goal. It was a very nice goal as well. A very clean strike. Very disappointing for Queen's Park Rangers' part that they didn't close him down, but it was a great goal that made it 1-1, and it ended 1-1, which I don't think both managers wanted. I think both managers wanted a win out of this game. A bit similar with Millwall and Nottingham Forest. I think both these sides wanted a win following the position of the table. Following this draw, though, it does put Wycombe in the bottom of the Championship. They are winless in 10 games, Wycombe. They definitely need to recover their form as soon as they can. Queen's Park Rangers also very poor run of form as well, and winless in 7. So both these sides definitely need to improve their form going into the new year. But that is all the games covered in the weekend. On the left-hand side is what the Championship table looks. Obviously, we have to exclude Derby and Rotherham for the fact they play one game less. So, Norwich and Bournemouth are still right at the top of the table. Swansea are the team in 3rd. Brentford, Watford and Middlesbrough make up the rest of the top 6. We've got Stoke, Reading, Bristol City, Cardiff, Blackburn and Huddersfield making up the rest of the top half of the table. Then to the bottom half, we've got Barnsley, Luton, Preston, Millwall and Birmingham. And then with the sides a little bit in trouble, Coventry, Queen's Park Rangers, Nottingham Forest and Rotherham. And then to the bottom 3, we have Derby, Sheffield Wednesday, and now Wycombe. So that wraps things up already this weekend. So just to conclude, I'll go through my goal of the weekend, result of the weekend, and my player of the weekend. Goal of the weekend is tough. I'm going to give it to Todd Cantwell's strike against Reading. The whip in that ball was fantastic. I'm going to give my goal of the weekend to Todd Cantwell. Result of the weekend is really tricky. I'm going to give it to Middlesbrough's 4-1 victory against Birmingham, their biggest win in 5 years. I'm going to give my resolve weekend to Middlesbrough. Player of the weekend is not easy at all. I'm actually going to give my player of the weekend to Emiliano Buendia. Just from the individual live performance I saw, he was absolutely incredible. For the individual performance, I'm going to give my player of the weekend to Emiliano Buendia. But that wraps it up for today's video. If you guys like what you see, please make sure do give this video a like. It is tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It'd really make my day. A nice Christmas present would be to get me to 400 subscribers. That would really be good if you could try and push me there. And to do that, please share my channel to as many people as you can. YouTubers, friends, football fans, all of that would really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, take care.